Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Roth-Novak, CEO and co-founder of PartySlate. So excited is this our second or third edition with Cindy Novotny?
I think it's our second.
It's our second, but I've seen you
Yes,
present so often at Engage. It feels like our fourth or fifth. So if I hit it my way, Cindy, we'd have a webinar every single month with you. That's how excited we are
I
to
would
have
love
you.
it. Love it.
So be careful. And Lillian, who is our SVP of Operations and Customer Success. I love having Lillian as my co-leader of these webinars. I like to pretend this is my talk show. I've never had a TV show, so this is my talk show, and I love, love, love sharing insights on how to help venue salespeople sell smarter and better, not harder, but smarter. And especially this topic is near and dear, leveraging the power of your professional photo portfolio. Again, I love AI and there's a role for AI, and I can't wait. We're going to talk about AI, but there's nothing that builds credibility more than something you've actually done in the real world, IRL. My teenagers like to say in the real world. So before I introduce Cindy, would love to know where you're zooming in from. We usually get people from all over the country. Every once in a while, we get people from Europe and South America. So if you could just say your name, your company, where you're zooming in from.
Chicago.
Yeah, we always like to see people from all over the country coming in, and
Sometimes all over the world.
all over the world. Yeah,
Detroit,
down
Michigan.
there.
That's my place. I love it.
Yeah. Go Blue. Oh, am I allowed to say that? My son goes to DU, University of Denver. They just won hockey, and my daughter's got Michigan, so they
Hey, you
won
get to love whatever
basketball.
sports team you like. That's
I
what it's
just
all about.
go around, yeah. But while we're getting into it, while you're introducing yourself and putting in you can change it to all participants, where you're from. Also, feel free if you have any thoughts on questions you have for Cindy, you can always chat that to us or to the group. We're going to make this really interactive. But I first met Cindy through the Engage network. It was my first Engage. I only had a PowerPoint and a dream for PartySlate, and I was sitting front row and like listening to Cindy, this hospitality and business expert, really focused on firing up the sales engine in people. And what really stuck with me is just your passion and your enthusiasm for helping people be successful with their business, whether it's in their role or their business, their entrepreneur, helping them, and also not taking any excuses. No excuses, right? You can do this. And we like to quote you around here on follow up. Oh, I'm being ghosted. Did you try 17 times yet? No, I'm joking.
I always quote
Exactly.
Cindy. I feel like Cindy, you always have the best practices.
Yeah.
And so we try to practice what we preach too, what we learned
Yeah.
from you here.
What would Cindy do? What would Cindy
What
do
would
in your
Cindy
room?
do?
Literally.
Yeah, so we are really honored to have this regular series of webinars with you. I think you really help so many companies within hospitality, but you're also taking your learnings from other industries and bringing them back to the hospitality industry. And I know you work with some of the leading companies and venues in the country, and you also work with venue groups, not just the Hyatts and the Marriotts and the Four Seasons, but venues that want to close more business and also work smarter. So Cindy, thank you so much for being here. Before we jump in, I want to give you 90% of the time. There are some new people on the webinar, and I'd love to give them a 5-minute overview of really how PartySlate started and our value proposition. And I know many of you know this, but I have 25 years, it makes me feel old, of digital agency and tech experience before I started PartySlate. But my first love has always been events since my first party in 7th grade and on to being social chair and running galas and running corporate events. After 50 large scale events in my corporate agency, digital agency world, I'm like, there's got to be a better way to find the best venues, to get inspired, to create your short list, and really help people leverage what I call their marketing gold, which is their photo portfolio. And so I'm just going to share a quick story, and I hear this variation of stories many times. But they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I know I didn't make that up, but many people say from an old saying. But I think in this industry, it might be worth $500,000. It could be the difference, and I'm not saying it's the only thing that pushes over their confidence level that you have the right venue or the right solution. And I like to just give this quick story as an example. This is the Beverly Hills Four Seasons, one of my favorite hotels. I love to stay there when I'm in LA. I love all hotels in LA, but this is one. This is their, their hallway, their entrance leading into their ballroom. During the day, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look inspirational. A couple was looking for an inspirational entrance into a wedding. And by just putting up lighting and draping within seconds, can you believe this photo is that same space? And so it's very hard to picture how this can look like. And I think this can make a difference with a big sale by helping them picture what it can be like. And there's plenty of room, Cindy, we talked about this for AI images, et cetera. But when you're actually in those early stages in the tour, I don't recommend doing too many mood boards or comps before you really know what's important to them and you're at that next stage. This stage is about proof points and handling objections and having the right picture at the right time. Like, oh yeah, we've done an ice sculpture like that, and we've done this. You have those photos, but there's plenty of room for comping and mood boards later. I would say decor companies and planners might be better positioned than the venue to do that, but the venue should be using these tools too. So we believe content is the currency of this industry, and we're so thankful for our professional photographers and videographers that capture the magic of all the hard work you do. There isn't any other industry in the world that has built-in professional content creators, but that also means you have, can I say a shit ton of content?
Yeah, this is your talk show.
Yeah, yes, I can say anything I want. You have a lot of content, so you got to think about how are you going to pull the right content at the right time from top of funnel, Instagram, PartySlate, marketplaces, your website, to the tour you're doing, to calls, to your pitch decks and proposals. There's a lot of proof that proposals with photos actually close more than proposals that don't. There's a lot of evidence and research that point to content helps you sell. And so what we've done over the last 9 months is we have built a solution called Photo Hub that helps you store, find, and share your photos within seconds, leveraging the power of AI. We're going to actually take a look into this, but what I want to tell you is this is something, Cindy, that I dreamed about building 9 years ago. And my co-founder is like, you know what? You can't build two businesses. You need to build one. So we built our marketplace first, our gorgeous profile pages, and this is our second product that we're bringing to market. And our goal is to eliminate the doom scrolling of, I have this photo, Julie, I want to show you, to leveraging the power of AI images and tagging so that you have them at your fingertips. Well, you can go to the next slide. So what we want to do is show you a 3-minute, 4-minute overview. And then Cindy, I'm excited to hear your perspective and your experience on leveraging content to close more business and to move quickly, because we know quickly is one of your key themes, to get back with something not blah, this is my brochure, but something that's relevant. And so, Lillian, let's just show really quickly. I always get nervous starting with Google because we don't know what's going to happen. But if I'm looking for a corporate venue, a hotel in New York, and I put top venues in New York, we're always number 1 or 2. I mean, not for after the ads, we're number 1, yay, today. We were very hard on our SEO. Let's say I'm looking for a hotel in New York. It's going to kind of create a short list of hotels that might be interesting for me. You can do a lot of other filters. And the Palace always has been back in my mind. We did an event there recently. So let's click into this venue. And again, what we like to say is this is our first business. If you kind of scroll through the cover photos, like this is where we kind of like, hey, let's invite you in. We can do corporate, we can do dinner party, we can do wedding. Let's invite them in to explore and really see your event spaces. Our research has shown event spaces are where people want to go first. Can I picture myself in these event spaces? But they spend the majority of their time looking at the gallery. So this property has 36 real event albums. So if I'm planning a corporate event, I might be more interested in looking at corporate events. They have 6 amazing corporate events that I can dig through. And again, this is front of house, Cindy. And when I met you at that first Engage, this is what I was building. And we're so excited. We have about 4 million people a year visiting these beautiful profile pages. The second thing we launched last year is addressing that nagging pain. I got married at the Four Seasons Chicago, and I remember them telling me, oh, our intern organizes our photos. They're in an S drive, but I don't know how to get to them. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, this is not just some small venue in the suburbs. This is there's some problem here that we could solve. So it did take me 8 years to solve this problem because we were building something else. But now, if they want to find a wedding aisle because a couple's coming in, they can type in aisle, and in seconds, AI tagging, not manual intern alt tagging like we used to do just 3 years ago. This is all computer vision AI tagging that is automatically done for all your photos in this private area. And Cindy, I emphasize private because if you have a Kardashian event or you have a celebrity couple or whatever that you can't put on your profile page, if you go to the album section, Lillian, you can have a private album just like a Dropbox. The difference is it's built for the industry and it's AI driven. What am I missing here that you want to show?
I think sometimes it's really cool to show people how some of our custom tagging works because we have enabled that recently. And I know if you're a venue, oftentimes people are very specific about what room they want to be in. So let's say you have a bride who came in, she loves the space. She really loved one of your rooms that's called the Madison room. So because we've gone through and we've tagged the events and what rooms they're in, you can actually narrow down that AI powered aisle search to just that specific space. It allows you to be very, very customizable in what you're sending out to your in your follow-up emails. And then from there, let's say someone comes in, they love their room, they did the tour, you can send them a follow-up email that has photos that are designed specifically for what you heard from them. You can easily click create a photo board. I might say aisle examples for, let's say it's Julie who's coming in.
Yeah.
Choose when you want the link to expire, so you always maintain full control of your content. Generate link. And what I really love about this, I'll show you an example, is that it's branded in the top left corner for the company. So it looks much cleaner and much more professional than if you're just in a Dropbox link or a Google Drive link. And then when you click through, it shows you these images in a really beautiful, clean manner that would it would take a lot more time to recreate elsewhere, but this took 2 seconds.
And Cindy, I don't know if you hear this from some of the venue salespeople. Sometimes they're sending a bulky link or a PDF that's, to be honest, not that pretty, or they're texting photos and the files are too big and it's less than, we're in the hospitality industry and, it's kind of elevated. This is an elevated way that is so fast to share these photos versus like an old school way. And then sometimes people are like, hey, I have I have a couple coming in. I want to show them a tour that I've built custom for how to really show the full experience. If you click on wedding tour, the wedding tour is actually showing you, okay, you imagine you come in through the courtyard and if you double click the courtyard photo, so you're in the slideshow, and then they come in, they're going to be welcomed up to the stairs to the reception area. Then they're going to, this is where you're signing the ketubah. This is the wedding aisle. Imagine the room, the reception while the room is being turned over. And then you're going into your beautiful dinner with your dance floor and then your after party, because everyone's got to have an after party, right? So that's for corporate. But if it's an activation client coming in, a corporate client, you want to show what your brand is going to look like at your property. And this is where you might want to show an activation with a champagne company. You might want to show a sporting activity. Like imagine this is their courtyard. It looks completely different for this US Open. Training activity. All these things you can scroll through quickly is just an idea of how different a corporate client is from wedding. And again, you want to have these ready at your fingertips so you can create these tours that take seconds to do, almost your best of tours that are ready to go right from your phone or your iPad. That's what I wanted to show here. Now let's go. One last thing I want to brag about, Cindy, and then I'm handing it over to you is.
Hey, I love the bragging. They got to know this stuff because everybody listening, you got to know this is next level stuff. It's great. Next level.
And if you love Canva and you want to make your Canvas, sing, you can go back to our integration page on PartySlate Pro. Honestly, my mom could do this, Cindy, and she's 81. You click Canva, we'll share the link with you guys. And in 2 seconds, all of these AI tagged photos, album names, portrait or landscape, all of these different filters go right into Canva. And honestly, this has been one of our most popular integrations. Instead of going download the photo and upload into Canva, within seconds, if you type in pink or aisle or whatever, you can find photos for your proposal, your mood board, etc. So there's plenty of room for AI comps, and I love AI comps, and there's so much innovation, but there's a certain point where you got to earn that credibility that you've done this already, that you're not just pie in the sky. I can transform this room with AI. Anyone can do that. And you should be using those tools. This is about leveraging your marketing gold, which is your professional photos and videos to tell a custom story, not a generic story of here's my brochure and here's how every type of event looks like. And let me send you 16 links. What are they looking for and what will speak to them? That's what we want to help with. I probably said too much, but I get really excited
No,
about
it's all good.
innovation.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is great. And I think it feeds well, actually, Cindy, into some of what you're going to talk about with how to utilize visuals as part of the process when it comes to actually selling a client on the space. So maybe, Cindy, we'll pass it over to you. I know we just spent some time looking at Lotte New York Palace, and I know they're a client that you know pretty well too. And so there might be some examples that we can talk about.
They're my friends. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and talk about how this relates to all of you in selling. And I think we're using venues, but I know we've got florists on here. We've got other people. I want you to know the same thing is applicable because pictures do sell. And so anybody listening right now needs to know that how you use this in your sales approach will set you apart because it is absolutely critical that you show things that you have done. Now, again, and Julie mentioned it, AI can transform your ballroom and make it look like something, but to be able to, and you can use that for different things to say, oh, I was dreaming this up. Does this make sense? But to be able to give a tour or show somebody exactly what you have done in your property or your venue, or for you florists, or even people selling stationery to be able to show, here's what it looks like, here's the menus I did, and they're in the venue. So let's go ahead and we'll stick with Lotte New York Palace, and we'll talk about some of the things that we know can be done if you ask the right questions. So this is just a client wants a corporate event, a networking event. So the client wanted to begin in a very traditional setting, but rather than carrying that same decor into the second room, intentionally, they wanted to have like a distinct contrast. They didn't want to have everything the same. So through food and beverage, through the concept, through design. So you can see, you can have two events, same room, and completely a different look. And to be able to show that, because many of you might have a lot of wedding photos and maybe you have less of your corporate. The more you capture and say, here's an example of how it can look very traditional, but flip the switch and here it can be very fun and it can show a lot of excitement. So let's continue through this and look at another example. This is social wedding. So if you look at this, the client loved the Villard Mansion space. Okay, this is beautiful, unbelievable, historic space in the Lotte New York Palace. But if you just look at it and you say, I can't really visualize it. Great event teams, great catering, great salespeople can go, oh, well, picture this and the table going that way and all the flowers and da da da. And they're like, oh, okay. And then what I've seen, which is really scary, the salesperson opens their phone and starts flipping through pictures like, oh, I took this myself. And well, do you have any other ones, right? Oh, no, marketing hasn't gotten, we don't have any new ones. These are being taken by your photographers, the people that you're getting approval from, that definitely we're giving credit to these photographers that are taking these gorgeous pictures. So now I can actually go to my PartySlate, to my photo hub, and I can say, look at all these different pictures within this gilded ballroom, this unbelievable space. And now they're looking at real live pictures. I'm highlighting food, I'm highlighting energy, I'm highlighting our gorgeous, a floral design. All of this in seconds. So when you go back to this main picture, I can say to a client, knowing that you wanted something with a Central Park theme, moving away from traditional. I did a wedding like this not too long ago. Let me show you this. That alone separates the good from the great. You have to remember, every one of you listening, you are not just competing against another venue, against another photographer, against another floral designer, against another hotel. You're competing against the salesperson that can sell better. And
Yes.
this allows you to sell better. You're not fumbling, you're not looking, you're not going through scrolling. So we'll continue on to how this fits into the whole customer journey.
One
So,
thing I'll mention,
yes,
Cindy, and I don't know if you've seen this, is I've gone on a lot of tours when we're like, hey, I'd love to see your space. They have an iPad and they just have a set number of photos. And many times they'll be like, oh, this is kind of stale, but they do have 10 photos for maybe each space, but it's not dynamic or growing. It's that, have you seen that before too,
oh,
Cindy?
yeah. But it's not even stale photos. It's the swiping because they're like this. They've got corporate travel on there. They've got
That's
business
true.
meetings on there. They've got weddings on there. And because marketing created this template and
Yes.
you can't change it, they are scrolling like this
Awesome. Yes.
instead of just going online with their iPad. So, in all honesty, having your iPad or even the phone
Even
at
your
that
phone.
point,
Yeah.
being able to go on that phone, excuse me, I'm talking so
Mhm.
loud there.
That's okay. I'm
I
glad
get
you've seen
so
that too, because
I get so worked up.
I give
Yeah.
them credit for having the iPad. Okay,
Yeah.
like I give them credit. But then
But
it's a
if you have,
shared iPad with the same stale photos on it that's made by marketing. And no offense against marketing, because I love marketing people. Marketing think different than salespeople. And so sometimes the marketing think, oh, these photos are great, is not like, I know I need to show room configuration to do my
now
sales or
someone just
whatever.
asked, so I want to make sure we answer this as we
Yeah.
continue. Do we have videos on this site too? Can they put videos on?
So videos is coming up this quarter. Right now it's photos. The vast majority of venues first wanted us to address photos and get that right and get it integrated with Canva and really get that almost like iPhone ease of photos, and videos coming next, which we're really
All right.
excited.
Good. All right.
Yeah,
So
thanks for asking.
back to that customer journey. We don't want you to just think that it's that simple. So let's walk through how this works. So if you were on the last webinar that I was on, I talked all about moving leads to contracts. Okay. I'm telling you, speed to lead. Okay. You absolutely must believe me that when those leads go into your inbox, and they can't just go into some group inbox that nobody looks at, you got to look at these. You're getting PartySlate leads, you're getting all these leads, they go in, and we immediately have to respond to them. Thank you so much for reaching out to the Lotte New York Palace. We're thrilled you thought of us. What is a good time for, I might be a coordinator passing it on, saying for Julie Novak handles your account. What is a good time for you and Julie to connect? Number one. Number two, you will convert it.
Cindy, if I
Yes.
could ask a question, when you say speed is most important, what is best practice that you recommend with everyone that you work with on time between receiving that inquiry in your email versus when that first response goes out?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Max. Mine, we are less than an hour. So when a lead comes in, and you're not sending a big proposal, so everybody just
No.
calm down. We're not sending I love this person said 2 minutes, and I agree with
Yeah.
you that Ricky
Mhm.
Lewis, love you.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I would do is I would respond. So we believe, and I went over this last time, but because it's being asked, I'll do it again. When a lead comes into your venue, your hotel, your photography studio, any of you, floral, design, the lead comes in. Could be at your info at whatever to your right, but it could be coming from PartySlate. The lead's coming in. So the lead comes in. You immediately, a coordinator, somebody. Thank you for reaching out to Lotte New York Palace. I have copied Julie Novak, who handles your account, because that coordinator knows to get it to the wedding person, get it to the corporate person, get it to the gala person, get it to the meetings person, whoever it might be. And then the secret sauce to that, and this works, my friends. What is a good time today or tomorrow for you and
Yes.
Julie to connect? This is the line in the sand. If it's on a Friday, don't say today or tomorrow. Say, what is a good time today? If it's the end of the day, don't say Friday. Say, what is a good time Monday or Tuesday for you two to connect? Serious customers will respond right away.
Yes.
They will respond with things like, you know what, I'm going to be gone most of the day. Thursday would work. Here's some times. Okay. Now the coordinator that passed on that lead moves out of the deal. The sales manager takes over. And that is how you start converting business. Now, that is what we talked about last time. The leveraging the visual content is now you're in the pitch. So now you had the inquiry, you got back to them immediately, you now had that initial call. Maybe they're coming in for a site visit, maybe they're not, okay? If they're not coming in for a site visit, no problem. I can then set up a Teams or Zoom call, just like we're doing, and I can use my PartySlate, my photo hub, all my everything, share my screen and present my ideas. Now, back to my initial one that I did with you. You can't just present unless you have that initial call and ask them some questions. What are you looking for? What's most important to you? Tell me a little bit about that. Because otherwise, you're just going to be slamming them with every bit of what you have. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to present those solutions and what we call the FAB framework really looks like. So the lead arrives. It comes in from PartySlate. You respond quickly to that RFP, just like I said. You set the expectations for a phone appointment. Real buyers, real customers, they're going to want the phone appointment. People are not, this is not, I'm just buying something on Amazon, a book, okay? We're selling an experience. We're selling emotion. If it's a corporate event, the same thing applies. So it comes in. Got it. Step 2. The goal, get them on the phone. Okay. We are getting inquiries now on the phone. For a while, it was like the phone wasn't ringing a lot. People were like, oh, now people are calling, they're coming in. So if PartySlate is sending out all these leads, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, and somebody said Gen Z doesn't want to chat by phone. Sorry, Ricky, you and I can talk after this. I am finding the real serious, especially high net worth clients, Gen Z, they want to chat. Not right off the beginning. Remember first, definitely you're going to respond. What is a good time? If they say just send me pricing, I can't do that. I'm selling a luxury hotel, the Lotte New York Palace. I can't send you. So what I might do is say, well, our pricing begins at this, the range is, and I'll know in 5 minutes if they can afford it or not. So it has been said that Gen Zs don't want to talk. They're going on TikTok and booking their wedding on TikTok. That is not all Gen Zs. All right. So keep in mind, the better you are at saying, look, I get it. Time is of the essence. I can assure you that if you give me 10 minutes on the phone,
Yes.
I'm going to save you more time than you can imagine. So you can go back on TikTok and have a great old day. Because at the end of the day, I know if I don't get a little information from you, I cannot price authentically and I can't really show you what you may want. So you're asking a lot of questions. What we don't want you to do is ask, sell, ask, sell. Ask, ask, ask. Note taking. Tons of notes. Tons of notes. And again, doesn't matter how young you are, there's a lot of brain fuzz going on in here. You got a lot happening, okay? So if you don't take the notes, then what happens is you forget. And then when you actually do start to try to propose to them, you're like, oh, was that the guy I talked to an hour ago? Or was that this person? So that's step 2.
And use AI note takers, guys. Granola is so amazing. There's a lot of great tools out there.
Oh, on Zoom and Teams,
And
if you're talking
Zoom.
with them,
Yeah.
right? I have the new pocket card that literally goes right here. All my meetings, I mean, now my little Aura ring, they now have the ring that also takes the notes. I mean, it's
Oh,
kind of
wow.
scary. Be careful
Yeah.
what you say, people. You better be in the
Yeah.
privacy of your own home. Oh, yeah. Everyone's recording everyone. This is going to be hilarious someday.
But
Okay.
I do,
So,
I do hear that a lot about younger people don't want to get on the phone. That was to panelists. You can change your questions to everyone so everyone can see your questions. But I will say, I'm not buying it. You're not saying like you're just going to call them randomly. You're going to set it up and some
exactly.
reason why you have 3 questions. You want to show 3 things, no more than 10 minutes.
Right.
You got to get them on the phone.
And
Cindy,
Ricky is the one that asked that, and Ricky's right. And a lot of young salespeople use this as an excuse. They tell their directors, nobody wants to talk, nobody wants to talk. Well, you know what I say to them? Well, you're just not that cool that they want to talk to you because they're going to talk to me. And I don't care if they're 12, 15, 20, or 25. It's really about that. Now, Ricky texting them 100% app, I go for it. If you'd have asked me that 2 years ago, Ricky, I'd have been like, oh no, that's not professional. Now I WhatsApp, I WeChat, and I text. So if they give me a phone and I send them a text and say, would love to be able to get 10 minutes on the call, I know for a fact I can save them time. But yes, I would text. So thanks for asking that, Ricky. Okay, step 3. Let's move it to step 3. Now you have to ask some people questions, okay? Like, Tell me a little bit about the event. Tell me about the budget. I've had people say to me, well, I can't ask about the budget. Really? Okay, yeah, you can. All right. Because depending on who you are, everyone has a budget or they're not having the event. So some people have a massive budget, some people have a smaller budget. So you just say, what are some of the things you're thinking about? You don't have to use the word budget. Tell me, you're looking at 100 people, you're looking at a wedding, you're looking over these dates, which are very high season, depending on where you are. Let's talk a little bit about that timeline. What have you thought of? What have you considered that you might want to spend per person, whatever it might be? The better the questions, the better. When you think about this wedding, what are you envisioning? What is important to you, right? All you need is a little bit so that then you can go and start selling them by the pictures and showing them some pictures. So, next steps.
Cindy, I have a question. I was
Yep.
talking to our marketing team and we were talking about raising awareness about photo boards and kind of the right time to use photo boards, which are these customs. I really feel, and I think we came to this conclusion that you got to have that 10-minute call first, unless they're like, just show me pictures of the room. But your goal is to get them on that 10-minute call. That the first person to get that 10-minute call is going to have a massive advantage in selling
Oh,
their
yeah.
venue. And then after that 10-minute call, maybe it turns into 30 minutes. Then you can provide these custom, boards and information.
Exactly, exactly. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's not a custom board. So,
Yeah.
Ricky said again on expenditures, any words you want to use to get away from budget. I always say, tell me what kind of money are you really thinking of spending? I use different things for different people.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you can't ever say you personalize things when you don't ask them questions. So if you're just going to show them a bunch of pictures, they can just go to your website.
Yeah.
You cannot do this. People buy what they can visualize, what they can see. We have five senses. So if they're in the property, if they're in a hotel, there's what they see, what they hear, what they smell. The whole, hotels are all scenting themselves and all have their own candles and everything, what they hear. But the visual is what helps us close business faster. And so when I think about that, it is critical that you get them to visualize. And the visualization of this is when you know something. Somebody just asked this question. I want to answer this question. It was really good. Some of our emails come in on the weekends and they said, does PartySlate have like an automatic response? Does
That's a
Lillian
good
care?
question. We don't yet have that because we've been told by the majority of them that we have an automated, like, we've got this, they'll follow up with you. So we of course send that confirmation, but we don't have any way to personally send
No,
something
not
from.
personalized. We do not, and we don't, none of you want that because it
No.
won't be personalized. So
Yes,
if there's an automatic response that
there
says,
is.
thank you so much for your interest in the Lotte New York Palace. We have copied the hotel and they will get back to you. Like if it's the weekend, they'll get back to you on Monday. I don't know if it's that personal, but they'll be getting back to you
Yeah.
shortly. The one thing I would say is that some of the really top hotels and venues that do a lot of social business, they actually have interns and things that work for them and are looking at their inbox all weekend long.
Yes. I
And
think you
then
have to with a larger
yes,
scale property because a lot of times people work during the week and they're looking for their venue on the weekend.
yeah.
Now, would it be okay to wait till Monday? Probably, but I would want to be the first to respond if I was the venue
Right.
salesperson.
And so
Yeah.
the interns that I've seen that they just are getting them, they work from home
Yeah.
and they can, I mean, top salespeople, by the way, are checking their inbox. So it doesn't matter
Yes.
weekend, holiday, they're all over it. Okay. But it's important that it says, thanks so much for reaching out. Like, do you want to talk now? So that's the thing that Party Slate can't do, and nor do you want them to, because you'd be the one that would want to get on the phone. Now,
Yes.
with that all said, words, describe, visuals, experience. Like when you see it, it's like you're in it. So all of a sudden, I'm in it. It's like when I see an incredible picture of food, when someone describes it to me, I'm like, okay. Then I see it and it's like, whoa. When they see the ballroom set, the lighting, the plated food, the decision becomes easier. And, some of these hotels, and venues, when you're giving site visits, some of them are pop up. They walk in. Space is a hot mess. because
Yes.
we just tore down an event from last night. And now that the banquet team is pulling everything out, you still have to show the space. But if you can say, okay, all right, I'm going to show you the space because I want you to see it, but I need you to close your eyes for a minute, work with me, and then you pull up your iPad, bingo. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's like a buzzkill at a party, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's keep that moving.
And people just, they can't visualize it. It's not just, certain type of people. Most people can't look at a big ballroom or big raw space and envision what it looks like. And so that's why I just love having photos at your fingertips, ready to go.
And Cindy,
Yeah,
I noticed that you pointed out, not only does the decision become easier, but it also becomes faster. And so
faster.
I'm curious what you've seen in your experience on when you utilize visuals, even if you are maybe ultimately closing the business, how does that actually speed up the process with how the customer's engaging with you?
Yeah. So one of the questions you always have to ask is who else are you looking at? Because that tells you right off the bat who you're
Yeah.
up against. And then the second is, tell me a little bit about when you really want to make a decision. Now, this goes for corporate, weddings, everything. That gives you the ability because some aren't making a decision until like the fall. Okay. So we
Yeah.
know, then I got to know what is really going to impact that decision. Now, am
Yes.
I the first person they saw? Am I the third person? And then I'll ask, when I get the competition. Now, this is where selling against the competition, we're not ever suggesting you throw mud, but you better be really good at knowing the observable differences between you and the comp set. And remember, PartySlate is out for everyone. So everyone can have their picture. So it's who uses it better, who follows up on the leads better. I always say everybody wants the easy. It's like people all want the view, but they don't want to climb the mountain. Isn't that right? Like, oh, I
Love
want the
that.
view.
Yeah.
Don't want to climb the mountain. So if I respond faster, if I show the pictures, I know who I'm selling against, and I say, one of the observable differences between us and XYZ hotel or venue or whatever, or florist or photographer or whoever you are, is this. You should be with your team working. What are the three observable differences between us and some of those top competitors?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And knowing that, but also knowing what's the most important thing to them, so you can lean in on that differentiator, a space for an after party or a great sound or whatever that is important to them.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the presenting of this. So you're looking at this beautiful room. If I didn't understand the needs of this room, okay, how would I ever show some options? How would I ever be able to say, like, this is my thought? If they go, oh, we want something very modern. Well, by the way, at Lotte New York Palace, we can do very modern. You saw some of those earlier pictures. But
Yes.
if I didn't know that and I'm just randomly showing these pictures, I've already killed the deal. All right. I've
Mhm.
killed the deal. So understanding their needs before you present the solutions is critical. Now,
Yes.
I always say have a few options. Now, some of you based on space may not have three all the time, but having a few options of look, right? Decor. It's like the lookbook of getting ready for what you're wearing. So let's look at that, how that works. So the framework, I call it the FAB framework. Features are what you're selling. It is the Villard, the Gold Room, the Madison Room. It is what I'm selling. The advantages and the adjectives, okay, is critically important because that is the descriptive adjectives, those advantages of that room. But the benefit comes back to their needs, okay? So that advantage and adjective, that's describing, all right? The advantages of this room is that we have the ability to transform it, okay? But the benefit has to equal the customer's needs. Like, I can't say the gold room would be perfect because it's got this and we'll do that and it'll give it a very formal appearance. And the person, yeah, we don't want formal. Oh, right. Okay. What do you want? Why would you ever start pitching before you know what they want? So,
And
features.
actually, real quick, because I saw there was a question in the chat, just to clarify for everyone, Photo Hub is relevant whether the lead comes from PartySlate or from anywhere else. I know this industry, I know a lot of it might be referral, word of mouth, maybe directly to your website. The tools that we built are not just meant for the inquiries that come from PartySlate. You can actually leverage the photos in Photo Hub in a lot of different ways, whether it's through that photo board that creates a link that's easily shareable through your email, or if you are doing a venue tour, having it up on your iPad, regardless of where it is that that person came in from. So you can think of these tools as relevant for anyone that you're talking to,
Yes.
not just for your PartySlate people.
Right. So let's look at this. the adjectives. So the client says, we want an intimate room layout that feels full but not crowded. Okay. The event flow. So this is important. You've asked questions, right? The event flow. We want private guests, red carpet arrival to do a product launch. We want immersive space so that we don't want to go into a lot of different rooms. Okay. The concern is that the photos would make the room look like really empty because they're going to have a lot of photo shoots. They're doing like a product launch. Okay. This is the client's needs. You're asking these questions. We don't want it like an empty room to be released to the space for our product launch. The client wanted a gilded, historic kind of setting that showcased a legacy fashion brand, all right, through an old but a new concept. So I'm working at the Lotte New York Palace, and I've asked the questions about this fashion product launch. So I suggest, you know what? I think the Madison Room in the Villard Mansion would be perfect for you. And let me tell you why. It's a 140-year-old Villard mansion, one of the only mansions on Madison Avenue left. This is it. It's it, right? And you're talking fashion, and what more is fashion than Madison Avenue? And it's got the ability for us to make it modern and edgy with the design within a very ornate setting, kind of feminine architecture, that environment. It really does well with helping you display and storytelling around your brand. Now, also, the ornate historic architecture provides, you asked about the gilded backdrop, the contrast, the highlighting, also, again, tying in that modern and edgy design. Now, what does that mean to you, client? It's going to give you whatever they said they needed, say it again. People don't listen. Say it again. So what that's going to give you, Miss Client, is an intimate room layout. It's going to give you that room that will have enough space, won't feel crowded, but will not look empty, right? It's going to give you that private guest red carpet feel. And when the photos are taken, it's going to not look crowded, but also not empty. It's going to ensure that for this particular brand, that showcase to your legacy fashion brand with that gilded historic feel for your new combined to old concept is a home run. So can we go ahead and get that signed? That's it. Now, in the meantime, I've showed pictures, right? And the pictures are worth 1,000 words. I'm
Yes.
showing the pictures. And the more you do that, the easier it is.
I love, just to reiterate what you're saying, that you're doing the active listening. After you have the feature, the adjectives, you're doing that fab framework. You're literally actively listening and closing the loop on what they asked for. And you can also, hey, did I miss anything? You can also validate that. I think that there's not enough of the active listening happening in sales, not just for the industry, in general.
Yeah,
Even going
we
to
don't
a
even listen to people we
store.
live with. So
Yes.
start listening. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Okay, let's keep moving, Lillian. So now what you're doing is you're showing the pictures. I can show the empty room on the left, or I can show a real photo of what that's going to look like on the right. Big difference, wouldn't you say? So when you think about it, event planners carry big risk. I'm doing a fashion launch. I am the event manager. My life, that VP is going to walk in and either love it or lose it. I mean, we do have the Devil Wears Prada coming back out. I saw that the popcorn is going to be in the Prada bags. I mean, really going to be quite cool. So the idea is the more you see ahead of time, the more confident people feel, the more visual. Nobody wants uncertainty. They walk into that room, although it's a gorgeous room, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. But when they see diagrams or photos, they can all of a sudden start seeing, wow, this is what I'm looking for. And remember, when we go to the next hotel that just doesn't show anything and starts doing this, you want to call them right away. How'd that go? All right, let's move on. So visuals, as we know, make the difference. I mean, we all know, think about photographers. I always say for weddings, if you're selling to weddings, some of the people they pick first is the videographer or the photographer, because really, we do want to remember the great food. We do want to remember the great dancing and the music. But what are they going to remember? The memories. It's all about the pictures. Okay. So visuals make a difference in your own life. They help you sell, even internally. Sometimes when a GM's like, we're not doing that again, and we're not pulling that, and don't move that furniture, and I've got like a $500,000 client, I'm like, okay, this is what we did. And you're a new GM anyway. You don't even know, you weren't even here then. And we're showing these pictures from Photo Hub. They're like, oh, the other thing is planners have to get approvals. So by having these, they can then show them. The emotion to me is where we forget that people are spending a lot of money for a reason, a meeting to launch a new concept, a wedding, a mitzvah, a whatever. And our job is to tie that to the emotions. This will differentiate you from your competitors because everyone has access to the same resources. But I always say those that say it can't be done should get out of the way of those of us that are doing it. Because 90% of people, they're just slow and lazy. I'm sorry, none of you, because you're on this webinar, so you're clearly not slow nor lazy. But most proposals are so like text heavy and PDFs, and people are like, ah. So that's why we take advantage of this.
Cindy, what do you feel like are the best ways to incorporate visuals in that back and forth conversation with the client?
Well, right away. So if I'm on the phone, I try to say, I would love to quickly set up a Teams. I can do a Teams or a Zoom, whichever you prefer right now, so I can share my screen and show you some very specific things. Way better than a visual site visit with an empty room. Because some people are like, can I see the space? Now, I will take, but some salespeople, they take their phone and they're all over and you're dizzy. It's like you're on a boat. Okay. So I might take them down and with my computer, get them in there. I might show them visually a virtual tour, show them the space, but I'll say, now I'm going to pull up this space on how we completely transform this space. So in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. One more question. We've had questions about this before, but the emotion and how what I found on the emotional side is playing into their emotion, kind of like mirroring it, like what are they passionate about this event? What gets them excited, and kind of mirroring that. But do you have any advice for salespeople that want to, the visuals can have the trigger, but make that emotional connection?
Okay, so here's the deal. Some of you just are naturally very authentic and very much love people. There are a few people out there that don't like people, and you need to snap out of it, okay? If you're in this business, you've got to really love people. So some of you are very driver, very cut to the chase, bottom line, boom, boom, boom. And you're talking to somebody who's very flowery and chatty. You become flowery and chatty. You mirror your buyer. You
Yes.
mirror your client. This is not about you. This is about them. Some people are highly analytical. I'm not that analytical. So when I'm talking to an analytical, I take all my like excitement and hands going everywhere and I calm it down and I start asking. They're asking square feet, they're asking square meters, they're asking this, and I take it down a notch and I just say, okay, let's just kind of walk through this. You might emotion is not about all the same, wearing your feelings on your sleeves. Emotion is, did I get to you? I always use this phrase, did I get to you where the pills don't reach? Right? The heart and soul where the pills don't reach. That is the key. That is the connection of emotion that makes the difference.
I love that. Thank you.
Okay, Lillian, there we go. So the key here is content needs to convert. If we are just reactive order takers, AI will replace you. Okay. I mean, anybody can just respond. Thank you so much. Here's a bunch of pictures. Here's the pricing. Let us know. That is not who we are. The salesperson who presents visuals, short videos, sample layouts, stands out from the competition. But if you don't ask the right questions, you can't personalize that. So if you're just sending written proposals, and I'm going to give you an example, I won't tell you where this happened, but it happened at a really wonderful hotel, and we did a mystery shop on this person. And they had their template, and all they did was they responded in the template. The problem is, in templates, there's that little insert, where it's like, dear, insert, you're supposed to put Julie's name. Then it's thank you so much for talking about your wedding, insert, you're supposed to put wedding, meeting. Half of the inserts, they left insert. They didn't go through and customize. I almost lost it. I literally had to pick up the phone and call them directly before we even gave feedback to their boss. I then said, this, like, you did not focus, you did not pay attention. Slow down to speed up. Start taking your time, ask the right questions. Speed to lead is important, but slow your roll. Ask the questions so that you can actually deliver some incredible content.
Love it.
Love
So
it.
now over to you.
Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you, Cindy, first of all. I feel like I always learn something whenever I talk to you, and I know that everyone on this call feels the same.
Well, thank
I know
you.
that, yeah, I know that someone in the chat asked this earlier, and we kind of talked about it already, but all these tools are available regardless of where that inquiry is coming in. Anyone who's part of PartySlate, who's a member of PartySlate, you do have access to this. Two things that I think would be the most helpful to help take action on some of those tips that Cindy just gave us. One is Photo Hub, which I know we did a preview about. That is within PartySlate Pro, which is where, we like to call it front of house, back of house. Most people, you probably know the front of house version of PartySlate when you go to partyslate.com. If you go to PartySlate Pro, that is all back of house. So that is the internal tools that we have really built for industry pros like yourself. We realize that there's not a ton of people out there who are making tools for you all. And you wear so many hats, you are so busy, and that's why we are focused on trying to create these tools to make your day-to-day just a little bit easier. On the left-hand side, Photo Hub, that's where you can access everything that we just showed you. The photo boards, which creates those really easy to share beautiful links, that AI-powered search, some of those tour albums, all available there. And then, of course, Canva. And we're going to drop a link in the chat right now. Anyone who does have Canva, it takes 1 second to get it integrated. And it truly is essentially the same experience, just replicated in Canva, where that AI powered search is in there. You can filter, you can search. And what I think is actually the best, it's so minor, but when you have that integration set up, you don't have to download and re-upload anymore. And I have heard, Julie, I know mentioned, sometimes you use the same photos over and over again. I have heard people say to me, well, the 10 photos that I have in Canva, I do go to all the time, even though I know I probably have better photos somewhere, but it's just that much easier. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. With this integration. You have access to the thousands of photos that you have in Photo Hub. So we'll drop that link in there. And, I know we talked about a lot of different things here. If you're interested in learning more, if you feel like maybe you're not optimizing Photo Hub in the best way, there's maybe something that we talked about that triggered that you thought, hey, maybe I should use this in a bit of a different way, but it would be helpful to have more of a detailed walkthrough. You can scan this QR code here. We'll get you to the right person. If anything that Cindy said was really interesting and that you want to learn more about Cindy and some of how she works with people, this is also a great QR code to scan. And the last thing I'll say is that if you look at Photo Hub and you say, wow, this is great, but I feel a little bit overwhelmed with thinking about my hundreds of albums that live in Dropbox or Google Drive. How do I actually get it into Photo Hub? Because Photo Hub only has a very small selection of my photos that previously I curated down for PartySlate. Well, anyone who's a PartySlate member, our team is offering a one-time Photo Hub transfer where it's completely complimentary to all of our members. But if you scan that QR code, we will actually help you get your photos from Dropbox, Google Drive, SharePoint, wherever it is, we name it. We've probably seen it all. We'll help you get it onto PartySlate. Our goal is to make it as useful of a tool as possible. And if you're not currently a PartySlate member and you're interested, I saw someone just ask,
Yes.
Scan that QR code, we'll get you to the right person and we'll make sure that we get you connected in the right place.
Yeah. And
I wanted to answer a couple questions on follow-up
Yeah.
real quick, and I know then we'll be jumping off. Someone said, how many times do you follow up? And how do I get them on the phone? Really, really. We did this last year. We worked with one of our hotel groups and we tracked how many follow-ups after a lead. This is not cold call prospecting. After a lead came in, it took 6 to 13 times for us to touch that client before we ever got a booking. And that does, now, if somebody says to you, not interested, don't ever call me again. Of course, I'm not doing it. But a lead came in and I'm going to keep following up. Now, you're not going to follow up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You're going to follow up. You're going to send them. You're going to call. You're going to send another note. Might be 3 weeks in between. But you have to remember that's what we're paid to do. That's called selling. So I just wanted to answer that because it was in the chat.
Yeah, 6 to 13 times. I love that. I actually reference that sometimes, Cindy, because I feel like it's easy to say I followed up twice, just give it up, but 6 to 13 is really the goal here.
And I did want to mention that we did roll out a free trial of Photo Hub for 30 days. play around with it, see if you like it, see if it's valuable. Again, it's included in membership for all the people that are member. I know there's many members on the call today. We will do that one-time transfer. Don't worry, you don't have to clean your house before we transfer. It's all private. Everything's private and we make it really easy. But we want you to, try and experiment. But again, we're happy to give you a demo and, even getting the most of the free profile. We're happy to help you set up your free profile page. But of course, we want to help drive new ways to close more business and to make your life just a little bit easier. We know your job is very demanding. You have a lot of people that are, after you, like, where's my proposal? Where's this? Where's that? If we can help make your photo management and accessing those photos at the right time in the right place just a little bit easier, and I know this is a lot easier than Dropbox and other solutions, we feel like we're contributing and helping in a small way to bringing these celebrations to life. So, Cindy, is there any other questions, by the way,
Thank
before we wrap
you.
up? We have 3 minutes left. Is there any other questions for Cindy?
I saw someone said in the chat, how do you even get a client to the point of wanting to follow up via the phone? Is
Yeah,
there something you
the
do
key
synchronized
is
with?
that you just say we are a very unique hotel, venue, space, and I can save you so much time, energy if you'll allow me 10 minutes to talk. I can really ask you some good questions so we can get to pricing much quicker, like something like that.
Yes. Great. And
All
don't
right.
give up. Don't give
Don't give
up when you
up.
get that call. Don't give up. 6 to
All
18,
right.
oh,
Well,
6
I'm
to
going to move
13
on.
times.
I'm going to move on. I'm in Vegas. I'm going back to work now. And
Thank you,
thank you,
Cindy.
everyone. Thanks.
We appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
We'll have
everyone.
information about upcoming events and webinars coming out to you via email. Our LA event is next. We have over 300 people joining us in LA for an educational session networking. We're giving Mindy Weiss our annual Icon Awards. We're really excited. Mindy and others are going to be there. Email us or reach out if you're interested in attending. Thank
All
you,
right. Thank
Cindy. You're
you.
the
Thank you so
best.
much,
Bye-bye.
Cindy.
Bye.
Bye.